Sorry, guys, I was just heating up dinner. I've been having a tough couple of week and, and a half recently because I had too much drink. But pardon me for the delays. I'm looking to hang on. Well, hold on, guys. All right. Today I'm like today I finished watching episodes 2 and 3 of Arcane, and I'm looking to give you my review of the first 3 episodes of the series and how they all set up the entirety of the rest following episode 3. Arcane episodes 1 and episode 1 introduces the two main characters who you all know are both Vi, aka Violet, and the little one called Powder, who eventually turns into Jim. And these two characters start off, as you know, these two characters start off. They both start off as orphans in the flashbacks. At the very beginning, where they were both rescued by a guy called Vander. They both lost their parents during the war back then. They were both young. Yeah, they lost their parents and were adopted by Vander. But later on, as they grew up, they eventually they eventually met up with two other guys who were with them on their adventures. They were eventually met by two other guys. One was called Milo, and the other, well, I forgot his name. Anyway, they start off with these two gentlemen, where they were seen trying to rob something from a local school. They were trying to rob a university of certain gems and trinkets and stuff. Then all of a sudden, I accidentally discovers one of these mystical, dangerous gemstones called Arcane stones. In them, they were very explosive and destructive, and they took out an entire room full of things. Yeah, quite quite destructive. You obviously could never tell just how dangerous these things were. Yeah, two sisters are something. Even though they later became arch enemies, they still they still have they still cherish one another. Yeah, Vi is the leader of the group, and after being chased by these guys, they after being chased by the enforcers. Anyway, as soon as things start to go awry, the they Vi, Powder, and their male companions ended are then pursued by the troops called that they call the enforcers. The kind that worked for the government and stuff. They were on the run from these guys along after their cover got blown by Powder accidentally triggering an explosion inside the college room on the second or upper floors of that building complex. They ran off. Soon as Powder ends up separated from the others, she ends up throwing a bag into the river as a distraction while making her escape. They, they, yeah. Soon, soon after, Soon after they are met, they they return to their they return to Vander's place in an underground city called the Lanes. Vander, voiced by J.B. Blanc, kindly took care and raised the two girls after they lost their parents to war, and he remained adamant to keeping things neutral while keeping his truce with the enforcers and people at the upper levels that he would keep everyone down in the lower levels out of trouble. He was a good man. He ran his own bar down there eventually, and he really has quite a lot of love for people he adopts and looks out for. Of course, before returning to him, they ran into some thugs on the streets, and those guys were actually the ones who were chasing after them. My mistake, guys. I was kind of lost for a minute there, and I've still been putting up with my. Yeah, I kind of forget things. I'll be honest. I had a lot to deal with over the past week and a half. Anyway, they were running away from these guys, and they had to have lost the treasure they found. And even though they did not come back with anything, Sanders was glad they didn't. He wanted things to stay neutral, and he didn't want any trouble brought to them. Yeah, of course, we all know you can't always let go of everything. Yeah, of course, those thugs were also working for another called the Zuma or someone named Silko. Yeah, Silko. Yeah, scary looking man. Someone who crossed paths with Vander before in the old days, who had left to die, had been beaten in the eye so painfully, and had been well. He was very scarred. He has his own gang. Very scary. Voiced by Jason Spizek, this guy wanted to accomplish more in life. Yeah, very scarred. Felt the need to embrace what his enemies feared and become them. Quite a, quite sinister, I should say. Al- Also, Vander was also. Boy. Meanwhile, up on the upper world, there was this nice guy called Jace. You know, a guy who was working on something with the use of magic. Hang on, hang on, guys. Be right back. Sorry, guys, I was having dinner, but hey, this guy named Jace, he starts out as someone who, along with his friend Kate, survived survived the explosion, but being he ended up being banished from the lab for the incident, and after his mother convinced him to not put him behind bars. This now I have to give now I must also focus on this guy. He also he also has a he also has plenty of backstory fleshed out in these first set of episodes as well. In fact, other characters do. I mean, you don't always see much fleshed in pre out of characters in previous cartoons up until now, where you have Netflix coming in to provide you with the goods from from these shows by having plenty of plenty of backstory in these first set of episodes fleshed out of each of the characters. Here, Here, Jace was young when he and his mother were struggling through a frozen tundra. His mother was almost gonna die, but soon as he came across a mysterious figure with an arcane staff who uses the magic in the staff to to cancel out the blizzard and make everything sun to make the sun shine in the area. It amazed him. He wanted to work on something to improve technology with the use of magic. He was lucky to have been met by a nice man called Victor, someone Russian, I believe, Russian or yeah, some a Russian scientist who saw potential in him, and they were willing to as they were willing to go against a court rule and work on the magic again. Meanwhile, meanwhile, Vi and Pal was doing her best to remend her friendship and relationship with Powder after after failing to, after failing to pull off a heist in the first episode of the show. Things worked out really well for them until we come later on to the to episode 3, where things start to fracture. You see, enter episode 3. Two people that Vander was close with ended up getting killed by one of Silco's henchmen who was enhanced with some kind of special monster enhancement serum. It, it killed this woman who was a lead member of the Enforcers, and his best friend Benzo, and they took him hostage. Yeah, Violet went with Milo and another guy to go rescue her while leaving Powder behind for her own safety. She wanted to help, but they didn't trust, but they didn't want to lose her, and she felt that she was not that big of a help, and well, she wanted to help so badly, so not only went against when her she not only went against Violet's advice to stay put, but also she went and carried these a few of the very few of the arcane stones that they took from the lab up above at the university college. These arcane, yeah, let me show you these things right here, arcane stones, as in hex stones, the hex stones, hex text, hex tech stones. You know, these mystical stones that are used to power things up and possess such an enormous amount of energy. Yeah, she took three of these put them into one of her inventions and used them to take down one of the to cause so much destruction that she ended up accidentally killing two of the guys that they hang out with, Milo and this big guy, who ended up getting killed by the explosion and buried under the rubble. I mean, these things that Powder took possession of, the Hextech stones, yeah, those things, those things are very explosive. And soon after, things got out of control. Not only did it, not only did it, not only did she take down some of these guys, but she ended up taking out two of her own friends, including including Milo, the guy who called her useless or stuff. Yeah, because of that, things started to get intense. Vi became frustrated with Powder for what she had done and abandoned her. Yeah, not to mention she ended up slapping her in the face just for setting off an explosion. I know she never meant to, but man, did that explosion that killed Vander and, well, that explosion she caused changed hers and Vi's relationship. And God, it definitely turned them into enemies. And with Vi rejecting, abandoning, and hurting Powder, ended up traumatizing her. And boy, not only did she ended up in the hands and care of, well, Silco, but also this separation between her and Vi left her mind fractured and scarred. Wow, she was so young and shorter than Vi. It could, you know how she started. She will now undergo some. She will now be dealing and embracing such psychological problems in the forthcoming episodes. Wow, this episode three, I tell you, was the darkest of the first three episodes that sets up the rest of the series. And you know which directions. And if you guys have seen it, you know which direction she went. Well, that's all I can give for now, guys. I'm kind of still struggling with my keeping with adjusting the thing, mainly and I hope well, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and are interested in seeing more content. For now, this sergeant's gotta fly.